Welcome to Sacred, the podcast that invites you to reclaim your intuition, resist exploitive systems, and remember the love that brought you to teaching and caregiving in the first place.
We're your hosts,
Angela Carolina Garcia
and Lauren Stauble. Join us on a rough and tumble journey of reckoning and transformation. Hey everyone, welcome to season 3. We are excited beyond belief that one of our greatest teachers is here. We call her Sister Yoli. It's Dr. Yolanda Sealey-Ruiz is here with us. And just to introduce her, I just want to share this moment when I met her. So Angela and I were at a summit with the Acosta Institute. It was the first in-person gathering of this group, and it was so powerful to see everybody in 3D. And I had never heard of your work, Sister Yoli. The first time I met you, I don't even know if we'd seen you speak yet, but you were standing next to the water cooler, and I was filling my water bottle. And I'm in a room full of 100 people. I'm like, this is a fancy presenter here. You greeted me as if we were dear friends. You paused, like you must have been breathing like intentionally. And you looked at me, made eye contact, smiled, and were like, how are you? And I was like, whoa. This is not a retreat for her. I'm thinking you're working right now. And somehow you brought to me, and I'm all nervous. It's the first time I'm meeting all these people. You brought this presence to me that made me feel welcome in this space, in this community that I knew in a different context, but I felt unsure about in person. And so I'll leave the introduction at that. And Sister Yoli's full bio will be in the podcast notes, so the show notes. So if any, and of course her experience is going to come out as we're hearing from her today. But Sister Yoli, welcome, and thank you so much for coming to talk with us today.
This is indeed sacred. Y'all got the right name. Podcast. Lauren and Angela, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm grateful to be with you.
Sister Yoli, tell us a little bit about what brings you to this work. How are you arriving in this moment, even though we just had a very delightful conversation before pressing record?
Mm-hmm. What brings me to this work, I guess it's now that I have the language. I didn't have this language 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's part of my path, right? It's part of my journey. And I'm just glad that I was present enough to engage in it. So what brings me to this work, I imagine how I was raised, where I was raised, the people who have been in my life, and the students that I've taught over the years to help me understand why love and healing is so important to everything that I do. What keeps me in this work is knowing that we as humans, we really are all that we've got, as they would say, right? And that if we each are not willing to do the work, both the work of the self and the work of community, whatever communities you're serving, then we won't survive. And that's an ancestral lesson, right? So I guess who brought me here technically are Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Malcolm X and all of those who dared to be courageous and to love my lineage of folks and others. And what keeps me here are my students, my daughter, my parents, and in fellowship with us. That answers. And how am I arriving? I feel solid, y'all. My heart feels solid. I'm a little tired because I just come off of some traveling, but I feel, two things can be true. I feel tired and energized at the same time. Very, very solid.
Solid has been strong lately. The other day I was at a gathering in my house, my soon-to-be old house, witnessing a community or a group of people talking about my life. And I remember someone asked me, I don't understand, what do you feel like? And I didn't have verbal language to sort of be like, this was the problem and this is how I felt. But I do remember saying something like, I just felt like I was viewing from a top of like I was a mountain peak or the part and then I could just see, but the bottom part of me was just like rounded in it. Like it was the bottom part of the mountain and the top was just holding. So
Mhm.
solid is deep right now. It's something that's like, oh, like this is the work that I'm supposed to be doing, or this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life or as a journey or whatever's happening. But it feels like it's the thing to be doing. And so like it feels solid in the way that I'm moving.
Wow, Angela, thank you for that. As a visual learner, I didn't realize I was a visual learner until I was in my 20s, because I would read and just not understand and have to reread and reread. And then you show me a picture and it's like, oh, I could read the image, what was there, what was not there, the subtext. So this image of the mountain that you just gave us to hold on to, that speaks to me because, a mountain is rooted deep, deep. And sometimes like, I don't even know the tallest mountain. What is it? St. Helena or Helena, wherever it is, the tallest mountain. Just think about how grounded that mountain has to be to reach so far up into the sky. And if you think about some of the trees, right, the redwoods, how deep do the roots go in order for them, to reach so tall, like, the trees in Yellowstone Park. Anyway, I'm going off, but I just want to say thank you for that. Yeah.
Can we actually go into that a little bit? In season 1 and 2, we've offered a grounding. And this just feels like an invitation to do that because both of those, like that's Earth. And I think we need that right now. Like we need Earth really, it's there for us and we need it. And so I just want to invite listeners and both of you, if you're interested, to, sit up tall on whatever you're sitting on or stand tall and then feel down, like use your breath, breathing in and breathe in and down, even like through the belly, through your legs, lower legs, ankles, feet into the earth, and then exhaling up. And then see if you can, let go of that if that doesn't feel like a good exploration for you, but see if you can just kind of inhaling, feeling down, even, beyond your feet into the earth, and then in and exhaling back up and out. And it might not feel accessible to you. You might not feel earth when you do that just yet. But this practice of pausing, looking for that sensation, and when you find it, letting it hold you can be very powerful. And then as you are ready, coming back into our shared space. I love mountain medicine I don't have any earth in my astrological chart. I often have a lot of my good friends are earth signs.
I'm surprised. No, I think I'm air. I'm Libra, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have a Libra
right?
moon.
Yeah. That explains a lot. Ta-da!
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And Angela and I are both water. Yeah. And I'm a Cancer.
Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Pisces.
Pisces. All the men I've ever loved are Pisces.
Oh.
Another podcast. But for real. It's right? Literally.
It is. Yes, it is. Yes.
Wow.
My husband, my mother, and the baby are all Scorpios.
My daughter's a Scorpio. I'm sorry. I'm praying for you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Well,
go ahead. Thanks for grounding us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like some of the things that you were both also just talking about do remind me of a quote that we're kind of we're asking the quote to lead us through our conversations this season. And it comes from Bell Hooks. And she said, so she said, in an ideal world, we would all learn in childhood to love ourselves. We would grow being secure in our worth and value, spreading our love wherever we went, letting our light shine. If we did not learn self-love in our youth, there is still hope. The light of love is always in us, no matter how cold the flame. It's always present, waiting for the spark to ignite, waiting for the heart to awaken and call us back to the first memory of being the life force inside a dark place, waiting to be born, waiting to see the light. Like, whoa.
Oh my
That's
gosh. And our readers, not our readers, our listeners can't see us, right? Because I think this is just a
yeah.
podcast, it's not a podcast. But when you said bell hooks, you saw the way I gasped, right? Because I had 5 minutes ago just turned to, because I'm feeling like maybe I'll share some of this from the new archaeology of self-writing. And the introduction is the foundation is love, and the quote is bell hooks. Love is love does.
Ooh.
Said that, and I'm looking at it. It just kind of, I should never be surprised, but it did catch me off guard.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Belle, for visiting us.
Right? I mean, self-love feels very earthy to me. And in that, like, I'm just wondering, like, for you, Sister Yoli, and Angela, you too, like, what does self-love look like in this moment in history? Acknowledging that, right, time is a construct. At the same time, it is also a moment. And so what does self-love look like now, either for you or for, humanity?
Sister Angela, do you want to go first? Because I know, and it's all contextual, right? That's why I'm so grateful, Lauren, that you said, what does it look like for now in this moment? And we're all going through our own personal things as well as intersecting with what's happening in the world. But Sister Angela, I yield to you if you'd like to go first, for sure.
Yeah. What does love look like in this moment?
Self-love.
Self-love even. Yeah, self-love. It that human that's like she has been ever present, my self-love. She has let me know I've neglected her. Recently, deeply, deeply let me know that I have neglected to love myself. And even yesterday in cacao ceremony, and even the women who have been holding me through this transition, which are the two of you through your, well, Lauren through her presence, and you, Sister Yoli, in this moment, and through your books, but also um, my dear friends and even my therapists, that I have been blessed with women who have shown me how to love myself, and they see me in a way that deeply, deeply loves me, in a way that I think my family and I have a lot of rough and tumble moments. But to be loved, or to love myself in the way that the women in this adult life is really even modeled for me, like how to now love again, or like love externally, whether it's romantic or with my students, or the way that I develop projects, the way that I even sit with the grief of this moment historically. I think, well, I don't think, I was actually at a retreat a few weeks ago, and something that Bayo Kumalafe said was, maybe, I don't know if he said it or someone in this moment, in that space said it, but how do we become water? And water and love have been doing this thing in my mind, and it's in the way that I've been flowing. So it's been an interesting moment. It's a very ever present moment for me right now. So it really looks active, and it really looks reciprocal. And even there's like this like peace in my heart, because it's my heart that was like, bro, you haven't listened to me in years. You've neglected me for the longest time. And my throat is like, but don't say any of that. And recently my throat is like, we're going to let everybody know that you're starting to love yourself. And I was like, whoa, okay. So it's been a very interesting, like even physiological feeling between the way that my body experiences this self-love. It's like very like pushy and like hard and like strong, and like also, but it's not like a letting me fall apart. Like my like organs are like strong, holding me together as we like maneuver this new moment.
Goodness. this whole moment, I mean, the fact that you just talked about Brother Bayo and mentioned water, I just did for the Acosta Institute a few weeks ago and a keynote just last week on archaeology of self and water and inviting us to be more like water. And just through quotes and images from Socrates to Alexis Pauline Gumbs, I think I quoted one of the poems, just swimming, or keep swimming, just keeping our head above water. Um, and Toni Morrison, who always talks about water as having the perfect memory and always trying to get back to itself. So, in some ways, I want to resonate with you to say self care is, I think, being like water, right? Being fluid in the moment. And for me, paying attention to the way I ebb, the way I flow. When I know water never stops, but the advantage that we have is that we can stop. And so the self love is like last night, for example, knowing that I have these dissertations that I'm trying to support students on and choosing to go to sleep, choosing to drink water, remembering to take my supplements, remembering to take the 2 medications that I have to take because of, genetic issues, right? Until I can get to a space where I can remove myself from the medication, which is my desire. But in the meantime, so that I won't become ill, I'll do what the Western doctors have told me to do while I'm looking into Eastern medicine as well. That's also self-love, looking for alternatives, never being satisfied, knowing that, healing is not just possible, but it can be yours. So I'm in that space now where and looking for and finding Eastern doctors also is a type of flow as well. So the self-love is very practical for me at this point because I am a caregiver of my mom, 86, who's been living with me for 25 years, and my daughter, who is 3,000 miles away. So I must physically take care of myself, drink water, eat, take supplements, sleep. Self-care also looks like, sorry, my phone is ringing now. Self-care is not answering the phone, right? Letting it ring until it stops, not rushing, right? That the world wants us to do. And being able to, in a moment, sit and pause. And that's what I've been doing. And out of that has come this creativity, this writing, and my brain feels a little less foggy when I know that I'm taking care of the self. Like you, Angela, I know when I'm not doing it. And that is part of the self-care too. Coming to that consciousness. What about you, Lauren?
Well, I think,
Go here.
yeah, I mean, what resonated for me is like, even though I have to do those things, like, I hate grading. I am a professor and I hate grading. It's like the worst part of the job. It's part of the contract. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to do a good job with this at least and serve my students the best I can. But it's the thing that I put off. Like, there's always something to do when you're a teacher. Like, I've never heard a teacher be like, there, I'm all done. Like, that is not a thing. So, I do put it off and off and off. But I'm like, I need to take my supplements. I need to stand outside for a few minutes. I mean, even like since the baby's, for the listeners, my family's doing foster care. And since the baby has come to live with us, like I don't have time, like exercise is very important to my brain health and, cardio. And so I have taken to, this is so silly. I don't even know if I want to share it with everybody, but on the cross trainer that we have, the computer fits just so. And so my ADHD brain is so happy to be grading while moving. Like that is the only way I can get myself to do the grading.
That's a skill, because I can do that. That's a skill.
Yeah, we can't do it otherwise. So I'm like, this is funny. Like, I'm sure my brain is not getting the same thing it would normally get out. I love to run outside, but this is allowing me to do the cardio and do the grading. So it's kind of like what you said too about medicine, right? Reminds me of something that Sister Solana said on the last season, where sometimes we have to take a lie in order to then later take the truth. Yeah. So she was referring to Western medicine as the lie because it's, synthetic, and the truth, right, being natural medicines. So, so that, using my computer on while exercising feels like a little bit like taking a lie. But it helps me to be able to then spend time with this beautiful little babe who's part of our family right now, and be present with him, and take it in, and receive that and give that. So I think that's, yeah, I have no idea how I've helped parents for most of my career with their children so they could go work. I have no idea how people do this. I already had deep respect for my own students who are community college students, and most of them have children because it's early childhood education, so there's a high concentration of parents who choose our field. They are sometimes helping their parents by, translating in the medical world or in another context, or accessing whatever they need to access. They are working full time. I don't know how they do it. I am really incredibly blown away by their ability to do what they do, just by me experiencing this and being like, what the heck am I supposed to?
Now, and I'm sure you're doing a beautiful job, you and your family, because love is at the center of it. I mean, if love is like a superpower, somehow you find a way to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Power, that strength, that energy.
Yes. Well, and so you mentioned, because I had a question for you, thinking about self-love and its relationship to the archaeology of self frameworks.
Can I congratulate you before you move forward?
Oh, sure. I'll take that. Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful thing. I think about my bestie, Goldie, who recently became a mother too by, caretaking someone else's child. And we don't know for how long, very, very similar. And before, she was thinking, I don't think she would mind me sharing this because she's very grounded in her Islamic religion. And she was talking to a friend about doing this, taking this child into the home. And the friend reminded her that that is one of the highest things that you can do, is to care for an orphan. That gives you the highest place in our vision.
Whoa.
So I just want to share with you that what you've done, what your family has done, really deserves congratulations for your family, but also that child who's a baby that may not fully understand yet. We don't know what babies know and remember. But to be in a space where he will be loved, oh, that's a reason for a party, for a celebration. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I forget sometimes that how significant it is.
It's an honor. Called someone's guardian, someone's mother. It's an honor.
It was really confusing at first. I don't know if this was I know you've done foster care. It was really confusing at first when people would assume that I'm the biological mom. Our skin tones match. And I felt like I had to correct everybody. And I was like, but this isn't, it's not, this is a different relationship than that, in my head. And I had just had to settle into it really doesn't matter what that person thinks. If my nervous system gets heightened every time somebody says that, the baby's going to feel that, kind of insecurity coming from me. And so it took me a while. I had to talk about it in therapy, figure out what this identity is. And
right now you are the mother.
Yeah. I came up with a parent name because I was like, this feels more significant. Kids have called me my first name my whole career. And I've had intimate caregiving relationships with them. But this feels more like I'm the advocate for this baby. And so I went with Fama because I was like, that's like a foster mama. So I go by Fama with the baby. Yeah. It was really helpful to like, I really don't want to like, I'm not trying to replace a biological mother anyway. I'm playing this very specific role. And come, coming up with a name that made me feel like I was playing that role was really helpful part of like stepping into that identity.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but of course, like I'm all. This is actually all connected. Um, Archaeology of self is right. Like doing this excavation. This excavation is the word that we use in my yoga. The philosophy that we do. And so whenever I learned about your archaeology of self, I was like, ooh, this is resonating. This kind of like looking under, going under. It's like dark under there, and there's all these things we don't know are there until we, shed light on them, and we might not even get the whole thing because we only uncovered this part of it, and the rest of it is still concealed. And I feel like in relationship with children is where we begin. When we're in relationship with children, it's like a catalyst for archaeology, for excavation. But you also just mentioned water. Like I always think about like archaeology and excavation for our self work being related to the earth. But can you say more about that, please?
No, sure, sure. As I begin to think more about it, just thinking about the fluidity of water, and if archaeology of self, right, is the excavation of our beliefs, of our biases, of these thoughts, right, that prevent us from being fully ourselves. Because if you are constantly judging someone else by their race, their age, their this, their all those things, is that who you are? Is that who you want to be? Is that fully yourself, or are you performing, right, what the society tells you that you're supposed to, in this body, think about that body over there? So if archaeology of self is doing that type of excavation, right, then the archaeology of water, as I'm thinking, helps us think about the fluidity of going in, not necessarily in and out, but being able to change those ideas and to be able to change those stereotypes that you hold and those negative beliefs. Also, water is healing. It is the essence of life, right? We know that we cannot go, although there is this person, I think in Austria in the 1960s, who went 18 days without food and water. It's a miracle that he survived. He was arrested by mistake, put in back of like a police car, a caravan, or a container, and left there. And 18 days later, he was alive. True story. However, we do know that the average person really cannot go 3 to 5 days without water, without the organ starting to shut down and all of the things. So if we think about water as the essence of life, water as healing, and we know that water is a healing property. Think about when you walk by water, or why do you think so many people flock to the Caribbean or flock to water, right, at a certain time? Because water is calming, water is healing, and water is fluid. So that means that our thoughts don't have to stay that way. That, like water, they can change, they can flow, they can move. And in terms of our own healing, to be like water, that means that we can flow with the trauma that we hold and also the healing that we have to do. So this water then becomes a metaphor for the movement, right, of what we can do as we come to see ourselves for the things that we want to change. And water does change, but the thing is, it also gets back to itself. So meaning water can be frozen, become ice, it can become hail, it becomes all these different, but water does have a perfect memory. So I'm thinking about, and this is a lot.
It holds a lot.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Angela. No, please.
And it holds a lot, right? Water holds a lot. It holds, I mean, we can think of the ocean filled with plastic and the sea creatures and the mountains under there and
Beautiful.
everything.
The complexity, right, of ourselves, of life.
Mm-hmm. And I've really been sitting with water. And I think that maybe sitting with water has happened many, many moons ago. But when Brother Bio said it in the way that he said it, because also when I'm in the space with the We Will Dance with Mountains community, and the Emergence Network, I just feel like my eyelashes have fireworks. And so something very different happens in my way of learning. I think someone asked me, like, how is it that you understand what they're saying? And it's like my brain doesn't actually do any work. It's like the cartilage in between my knees and the cartilage in between my spinal cord, if there's cartilage there. That's what's receiving whatever the Emergence Network, Brother Bio, even Acosta Institute, Brother Angel, that's where my
Mm.
that's where the learning is happening for me. But water, I've also been thinking about water in relationship to boundaries,
Mm.
thinking about water in relationship to where my beginnings meet your beginnings and the edges of that. But like water doesn't have edges. and and I think a lot about that, right? And like there is like a place where things flow. I think when you like see when the river meets the ocean, there is something different.
Mm-hmm.
Then it like amalgamates. See, amalgamation keeps coming up. It's a new word in
How you're using your hands and how you're
Mhm.
moving your body. I was also
Yeah.
wondering if there's just a spiritual understanding. Like you think about back in the Bible when all the folks were at Babel and everybody was speaking in the tongue of their country, but sometimes somehow there was an understanding. Sometimes, and I feel that way in Bio's presence as well. I definitely think he's a mystic. He's, definitely touched in a very powerful way. Certainly, we call it intellectual, but the depth of his spiritual being is magnanimous. And I also can understand the things that he's saying. And most of the time, he's speaking in metaphors. He's talking about, fugitivity and going between the cracks and escapism, but being present at the same time. How do I know this? I think because my spirit is ready for it. Spirit is ready to hear what is being said, and I don't need a translation. And I think that depends on where we are. So even folks who are listening now and saying, well, what exactly is this podcast? Is it about water? Is it about love? It's about all of it. And it is about what you are ready to receive. What is going to hit you that will make sense for you.
In yoga, water is receptivity.
Oh, yes.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. So thank you so much. I feel like, okay. So, right, to do that work, there is this kind of story that we're going into that might be a little more static, but it's the water that allows us to kind of flow into the story from one story to the next to bring it in to today. I mean, I just keep thinking about hopefully both of you won't shudder when I bring something related to politics into this conversation, but I just keep
We can
thinking about
handle it.
like the current administration's attempt to kind of go back to something that was before is just kind of, to me, it just seems so obvious but it's now. It's not then. And even if you tried to do the same things you did then, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't work the same way, right? It doesn't manifest the same way. There's no way that we could do the same things and have the same outcome now. I feel like that kind of thinking about the archaeology and bringing water into it does make us see that like, oh, I might feel nostalgic for those times for some time in my life before this other thing happened or whatever. But I really like trying to go back there is not very helpful. We have another topic that we were going to touch on next, but I'm skipping to the third one. This is
I think it came up for me, this
yeah.
nostalgia of inhumanity that this government has. That's really because when you look at all of what is coming out, it is not to lift people's lives up.
No.
It is rooted in inhumanity. So there's a nostalgia for the inhumanity of those in the past that put others in this false sense of superiority and power and whiteness and all of that. That's what yearning for the days of old. And that is rooted in inhumanity and then nostalgic for that. And it's tragic and it's sad and we are grieving, but we are also resisting Distance looks different for everyone. That truly is a whole podcast. But know this, and I was reminded of this just last night at an event. Particularly, I'm speaking about my ancestors, and everyone has to tap into their own ancestral line. My ancestors have seen worse than this. And there's something in my DNA that's programmed to know that I can survive this. And I believe that strongly because how am I feeling solid when I'm at the epicenter of what's happening when you talk about the stuff in higher ed? And my communities are suffering. I just got a text this morning of a student, of a friend who lost her funding because the administration is taking away scholarships for people of color. So it's not escaping any of us. And yet there is this resilience in me that I want to fight, that I want to travel to communities to lift people up and to remind us of our history.
Mm.
So I
know you wanted to. Oh. Yes, no, I know Lauren wanted to skip, but I'm gonna say it too.
No, okay, that was a
we
mistake.
flowed, y'all. We flowed.
I
Like on
love
the water.
yes,
Yes, I love you both. Thank you.
yes, because the next thing, this other theme for this season, or the resonance that's been coming up, is discernment. And when you were speaking about spirit and our soul, and when we know, like when our soul is ready to receive something, and like when it's not, and even in relationship to love, I'm very curious if you can even speak some life into this, Sister Yoli. Um, in the moment of I'm not understanding what they're saying, right? As that, and that's like, oh, it's just the moment where the soul isn't ready for this, but also being okay with not loving and not, like rushing into, now I'm going to go read all the theory on this, or I'm going to go and do all of this. I'm going to like slow down and like tap into self-love. And I think that in knowing you and hearing your stories, and you live so presently and share so abundantly with us, what does that practice look like for you? What does it smell like for you? What does it sound like for you?
Mm. Well, it's not anything. Although someone the other day called me a mystic, and I had to look it up. What is a mystic?
Oh,
It may not sound as mystical. It's consistent. It is daily being in silence, even if it's just for 5 minutes. I honor silence so much because of my experience with Vipassana in 2018. It is the gift that keeps on giving. And so I feel in some ways like I am not honoring myself by not taking moments of silence. And it's every day, it's consistent. It is also prayer. My silence often goes into a prayer. And it depends on like what's on my mind. Sometimes it's just praying for other people. These last few days, I've been sending energy and praying specifically for my daughter for something, for my mother. I think also because, and I think we all to some extent live in proximity to death, but I think that I do, especially with my mom, with her illness and her age, literally her room is right across from mine. So there are times that, I wake up and I would be tempted to go in and see if she's still breathing. But the power of being able to let that go and to not live with that is also a type of freedom and practice for me. It is the practice of releasing what I cannot control. And I have found that really facing eventual death and transition in that way has allowed me to, I guess I want to say, be more free, because death was the one thing I used to be afraid of. And going through the Vipassana and the experience that I had there and the visions that I had there really cured that for me, I have to tell you. So I have a different relationship with death, which was my ultimate fear. And that is how I claim my freedom. So it is remembering what got me to freedom, which is the silence, and honoring that, and being deliberate about sending positive energy towards people, and being deliberate about when I'm in their presence to have them feel hopefully uplifted, more uplifted than before they saw me. So my practice is in how I greet and the emails I send, the messages. I don't send an email without saying, hello, I hope you're well. So it's those little things that are daily practices that I do believe allow me to show up even in moments of grief and sadness to still be connected to joy and possibility.
Really, you're just like giving me medicine today.
Hope that answers.
Thank you. Yes, silence has been trying to reach me. Silence, she has been like here. She is very, very present.
Invite her
And
in. Invite her.
yeah, and there's a part of me that wants to fight her, and she shows up in this new love. He is a silent one. And so are many other people around me. And silence brings me a lot of peace, but there's something about my life 500 years ago that fights silence. There's like an advocacy role that comes with my voice. But she's been being tended to. And right now, when you mentioned silence, I was like, oh, there you are again. Oh, there you are again.
Wow.
Okay.
So even
we're gonna
take over
play
the
some
podcast to give you.
Yeah, she came to the podcast to be like, excuse me.
I'll say this in Goldie. I have to always bring up Goldie. So present in my life. And she said, there's this hadith in the Quran. And she tells this story, which I'm not going to begin to tell because I'll mess it up. But the moral of the story is Allah speaking to the person and says, well, how many of my blessings will you continue to deny? Say to you, Anhala, how many times will silence have to come to you? Realize you must surrender.
The irony is that my new love is also very deep into Islamic religion. The irony is giving Angela silence. Yes, Sister Yoli. Yes, my face exactly.
Silence is, I agree, silence is so important. I used to sit for meditation for 10 minutes every day before the baby came. Now I listen to meditation in Spanish while I'm falling asleep because I can't take Spanish class right now either. But
you'll get back to it.
I think so. I hope so. So, but right now is final project season for my students at the beginning, and especially in the online class, like asynchronous communication is very slow. And my students get really worried when they don't hear back from their partner, and there's like all this potential to like make up a story about why the person isn't responding right away. So what I've learned to say over the years is, when we're met with silence, the only thing we're left with is our greatest fears. And so the stories that we make up are actually just a reflection of the thing we're afraid of. And usually the students are like, ooh, like, yeah, okay, yeah.
I'll take that quote and have it be in, you know how you'll do a write-up for this? Like, it's profound.
Oh.
And you just really signifying what I just said, that I was always afraid to really sit in silence because it would be the fear of death. Going through Vipassana and facing like death in this visual, this experience I had, I conquered the fear. And that only happened in silence. So wow, Lauren, wow.
Potential there. And Angela, you went into the discernment, and it was you that brought this this quote. I don't know if it's an exact quote or not, but from the Old Testament, from the intentions of the heart, the mouth speaks. I'm just even thinking now differently about that passage that you added to our notes, because I'm thinking like, okay, sometimes the heart says not to speak. Like sometimes the heart says silence. And so I guess that is like discernment about when to express something and when to hold something. I wonder, Sister Yoli, if that concept is, I see you nodding. So I think would you be willing to say something? You are a leader. And so I wonder if is there anything you might say about how kind of that discernment process shows up in your leadership relationships?
No, that's a beautiful question. And, it's internal. You feel it, right? You know when, first of all, when I know I have to speak, it's here. It's an embodied reaction, like, and my body responds, and it's not out of
Sister Yoli was just holding her throat, everyone.
holding my throat, and specifically in leadership situations like where I am and being in charge of 3 programs, there are a lot of things I hear, there are a lot of things that are said. And if I responded to everything that was said, because oftentimes things are said and people don't have full knowledge, right? And people are just talking. A lot of times, like even our students feel the pressure. I have to participate. Let me just raise my hand without even thinking things through. So if I were the type of person that constantly reacted to that, or if we're people that's constantly reacting to that, then I don't know. I just will find that I'll lose myself. I'll find that to be very confusing. So, and having this relationship with silence that I'm cultivating, it's an embodied practice that I know when I must speak. And I also, when I'm not sure, my default is silence. My default is silence, and then it's getting advice. So if it's a particular decision that I have to make related to leadership, even a family decision, because we're all leaders in our respective spheres, different ways in the classroom, in our families, our family members look to us. But when I'm not sure, right, I'm like really not sure, that's when I seek advice. And I seek advice from at least 3 people. Right. And of course, it has to be 3 people who are not involved, because eventually I then have to go to that person. So it's always been my mother. It's always my bestie. And it's another very close friend of mine that y'all know, Dr. Bettina Love. And so I sit with and of course, Angel is like my brother. So he's, if it had to be like an order, he's probably the spiritual one, right, that I go to the most, although Goldie and Bettina also are very spiritual, and my mother. So I'm saying all that to say that for me, it's an embodied practice. And it will be for all of us once we learn to be attuned and in tune with silence. It will guide you. It will let you know. And if you're not sure, don't be driven by the ego. Advice. Sometimes people turn to scriptures or hadiths or a deeper meditation. But we have people in our circle for a reason. So those people that you trust, go to them, see what they think, and then sit some more. And that has been my practice, y'all. That has been my practice, including something as shifting and powerful as becoming a foster mom and seeking a divorce. I've never made decisions on my own that had the impact of other people in a major way. So I guess I'm saying call on community. Don't be afraid of the silence.
And maybe this is not the right word. Your curated community. It's like we have all kinds of people in our communities, and there are some people that we might be like, I don't like your idea. And sometimes that's important too. If like, what do you think? Okay, now I'm very clear that that's not what I think. That is like not what I want to do.
Yes. Exactly that, Lauren. But if we're just staying in our own minds, relying on our own, we're jaded. We can't really see possibilities, right? And this is what happens. People just make decisions based on ego, or I better hurry up and answer, or they're going to think I don't have a thought, or that I'm not a real leader. All of these external forces. And this is why silence is so powerful. But what silence does is what you said. All of the things that you're afraid of, they're going to think I'm not this, or that. You know what? Silence just makes you vulnerable. And in some ways exposes you to all of those things that people are going to say. They're going to say it about you anyway.
Right.
Well, there's
Guidance
that.
allows you to come to yourself and to get to know yourself, I think, a bit deeper.
Yeah.
I think that's why I
Yeah.
love it and respect it so much.
Mm.
I'm not sure if it's a verse in the Old Testament.
Mm.
It must be the Old Testament, and it must be a proverb, I think. But it's rely not on your own understanding.
Oh, let me lean out on my own understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
is. We'll look it up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the guiding forces.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Like you have to go out and see, because it's not just you. It's usually not the other day actually. Um, this new love said, how did he say it? He was like, those are the stories you're telling yourself. Those are not true things. It's like, they are stories. They are. Thank you. You're right. Actually, you're right. Thank you.
And it is a proverb. I looked it up, of course.
It is a proverb. Mhm.
Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Mm.
And there's guidance there. There's guidance there. And for those who may not believe, you know, in God, please believe in something besides yourself.
Angela, now can we go?
Yes.
Okay, this is the right time.
It's time.
We're playing with surrender. Yeah. So,
Deeply.
yeah.
Deeply.
So,
We even asked Drew for
yeah.
for wisdom as we think about surrender.
Don't have it.
So we have this running I guess theory or thing we're playing with that goes, when we surrender to something greater than ourselves, the field or medium in which we play with love and discernment, that which holds us and itself. When we surrender in this way, then reclaiming is alchemized from an intention or intellectual pursuit. There's Goldie again, into presence as healing.
Wow, that's y'all writing that?
Yeah, that's something we wanted to play with, like as a truth. Is this a truth?
Wow.
And
Read that to me again. That, first of all, it's profound, it's provocative. And of course, I hear alchemy and I think of, Drew.
yeah, that's why we passed it by her. Yeah.
But let me just close my eyes and listen to it again, if you don't mind.
You want to read it this time, Angela?
When we surrender to something greater than ourselves, the field or median in which we play with love and discernment, that which holds us and itself. When we surrender in this way, then reclaiming is alchemized from an intention or intellectual pursuit into presence as healing.
I agree with that. And as you were reading, I was thinking specifically my relationship with who I call God, right? And with every step which you were saying, I was like, yes, yes, yes. And I think with a profound quote like that, or some of the readings, intellectual readings, that we have to break it down step by step, because that's what I was doing as I was listening. First, as a visual learner, had it in mind, what is this relationship that I'm talking about, something bigger than me? And then with each of the words that you were talking about, being fully present, alchemizing what needs to be. I'm hearing it as what needs to be manifested. That if I were in the way, it may not manifest in the way that it needs to be. But it will. It's Louise Hay that I shared with you before this. All is fine. All is working in my favor. All will be well. And that gives, as she said, the universe time, gives you a chance to pause and calm your mind and not have to, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to control this, and give the universe time, your higher power time, to either make it go away, give you a different perspective, or manifest it. I wholeheartedly believe in that. And I hope that y'all are writing something around that, or even designing a workshop around that, to think about what would it be to take people through the act of surrendering. And most importantly, what are or who are people surrendering to? Because some of us surrender to other human beings who've not done the self-work, and that can
Thank you for naming that. We were just talking
wow.
about fellowship with my students last week and actually some of Angela and I's preschool students, because, right, we have to everybody can't be a leader all the time, but understanding what it means to be a good follower, it doesn't mean you just do what somebody says. You actually have to kind of check their work. And actually, like you said, sister, you're like, do some triangulation, like ask around. Don't just ask one. Don't give it all up to one. Like in the yoga world, we have certainly learned our lesson with that. Like people who get, just accept the power that people give them, take advantage of it. Humans fall apart in that situation. Like it's not good for leaders and it's not good for followers.
Ooh, that was a word. Good for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did want to do something. I'm not sure of our timing, but I don't know. I'm feeling called to share this. And I usually don't share, especially something that's not out yet. But I did want to share from this archaeology of self-writing that I mentioned to you that I fell into a vortex to write it. And it is in keeping with what, we've been talking about, which is love, and bell hooks came up. So I just wanted to share the first few lines because I continue to do the healing. And I think this is why it may be so potent for me. I continue to surrender hope. I continue to be open. I continue to recognize that as I heal, those in my circle will also heal. And in writing this, what will be a book, it was intended to be a love letter to teachers.
Oh.
That was the goal. It's like, okay, when the publishers go, what's this? Oh, I want to write a love letter to teachers. And then I realized in the space that I was in that I needed to write this love letter to myself.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
I just want to share this that's coming. The introduction is called The Foundation is Love. And the opening quote is, love is as love does. Bell hooks. Writing a book that I also need for myself feels both vulnerable and transformative. Initially, I saw this book as a love letter to teachers in the form of a guide for classroom instruction. But I now also see it as much a guide for how I conduct my own self-searching journey. As I began to write this book, I thought deeply about my life, the significant people in it, and my current circumstances. My mother's recent stroke, my daughter's journey to college, and my becoming a full professor while taking care of both of them. As a backdrop to these poignant events in my life is the current political climate and the many direct attacks on the work I live and breathe. All combined, I feel both the weight and the fragility of our times. As a result, I have had to pause and recognize how these seismic shifts impact how I practice life. Witnessing my mother's quiet perseverance as she struggles to reclaim herself after her stroke reminds me of life's precarity, how instantly everything can change, and how the work of becoming in body and in spirit never ends. Watching my daughter trailblaze her path 3,000 miles away in college is another lesson in the relentless but necessary forward movement of time. Every day, I measure how time is slipping through my fingers, reminding me that daughterhood and motherhood, life itself, require holding on and letting go at the same time.
Ooh.
That's where I am.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
I feel so lucky to have heard your words, and thank you for sharing them with our listeners. So there's two words in there that I felt like kept resonating throughout, which is the practicing life and practicing life. That is, for me, is very liberating, of saying like, this is it not only like, because I use the word practice a lot, but not only is this thing I'm doing right now practice, but actually the whole thing is practice. Like if we're practicing, there's just a lot of, as a recovering perfectionist, practice is healing, to practice rather than perform, right? Or arrive somewhere. And so that is an invitation. I mean, even presence is healing in the thing that comes from Rev Angel Kyoto Williams, talking about like we don't need to heal people. It's presence that we're after. That what you just said really, I feel like, and so now my eyelashes are having fireworks. Thinking about water, and even how you said this practice, you're doing this practice affects the people in your community, right? Is like reminds me of the ripples in the water. And right, your archaeology of self ripples out and affects others. I'm going to stop there because I'll probably just go on in circles.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
wow.
It's just coming back to presence as the technology of caregiving.
The ancient technology of caregiving.
Ancient technology of caregiving. It's back again. It's back again. And now Sister Yoli has invited us to do some more work.
Yes. Some more practice.
Some more practice.
More practice and practicing in silence. All deserve and need.
Practice is oof. This was a beautiful beginning way to practice for season 3, Sister Yoli. Thank you so much for just being in space with us, for being our sister, for being our teacher, for being a light, and even more so than a light, sort of like the witness. Like, I feel like you have witnessed me grow a little bit more today. And so thank you just for even holding space for that.
I love you, Angela. I love you, Lauren.
You too. Thank you so much. A mountain of gratitude. Yes.
And oceans of thanks.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Metaphor.
I hope you listeners are just feeling this like we are. Thank you so much for listening, and to keep the conversation going, and for monthly reflection prompts related to each episode, please sign up for our mailing list.
If you want to play with us in real time, exploring the ideas in this episode, please come to the next campfire chat. We look forward to our next sacred conversation with you.
You can check out the show notes for details, including Sister Yoli's full bio, and there'll be some information about a half-day healing-centered leadership workshop that's going to be happening in August 2025. So stay tuned for that. Sign up for our mailing list if you want to learn more about that, and we'll see you next time.